Today, I'm talking about one of my all-time favorite topics and my favorite thing to teach people because of just the power in what it gives you to understand yourself, your motivation, your behaviors, and also that of your clients. So I'm really excited about this. We're talking about understanding values and the role they play in motivation. Now, values is a very, very interesting topic. And one of the most common asked questions in the space of coaching is, how do I get motivated and stay motivated to achieve my goals? And it's a really interesting topic. And the thing I find interesting is I've come across different ways people talk about values. And I've been in situations where people say, okay, we're going to look at what your values are, and they'll have a page of words that are all sort of aspirational words, and they say pick out 5 of these or 10 of these, and they're your values. Now, as I said, they are aspirational values, so they're the nice things, they're the things that you would aspire to have. They don't necessarily mean that they are the things that actually motivate you. Okay, they're not actually the things that probably are intrinsically motivating you. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. And in fact, I'm going to be talking about this over 2 episodes because it's such a big topic. And when I teach values at NLP Master Practitioner Training, I teach over 2 full days, right? 2 full days of content around values because it's really a deep topic. However, I'm going to be giving you the chunked up version, and still that's going to happen over 2 episodes. So in today's episode, I'm going to talk about the values levels of thinking, and this is based on the work of Dr. Claire Graves, who did a lot of his work off the back of what Abraham Maslow was doing back in like the 1940s, I think it was, and really looking at how people's environment had an effect on their neurology and essentially their values levels of thinking. And so, this is a big question, right? People want to know. And I know working with coaches and practitioners and therapists, they have this ongoing problem with clients where they say, okay, I tell them what they need to do, but they just don't do it. Okay, they're just not motivated to do the thing that they need to do to get results. So how do we motivate them? And because the truth is that most people, including you, know what they should be doing, right? They know what they should be doing to get the results that they want. Like in health, for example, most people know that drinking at least 2 liters of clean filtered water a day, sleeping 7 to 8 hours each night, eating fresh, healthy whole foods, exercising daily, stretching, doing weights, avoiding drugs and alcohol and excess sugar, fast foods. If you do all those things, it will result in good health, right? People know that. But how many people do it? Well, I can tell you who does it. The people who value health do it. And you can see, right? You can see who values health. You can see who has health in their top values because they'll look healthy, right? They'll be fit. They will be eating well. They'll be hydrated. They'll be active people. Okay, so you can see it's in their values. If it comes to relationships, right? Most people know that in relationships, it's important to be honest and authentic and vulnerable and attentive and supportive, and to clearly express, our wants and desires and our own values, the things that are important to us, and our boundaries. But how many people actually do that? Well, I can tell you the people who do it. It's the people who've got good relationships, and you can see they have good relationships because relationships is important to them. They make sure they do the things that result in having good relationships, right? It's the same as business. Most people in business know that to succeed in business, you've got to have systems and processes in place for things like marketing and sales and the delivery of your product or service and your admin, right? You need to know your numbers and understand tax and insurance and profitability. and, whatever other industry specific requirements that you have. But does it mean that everybody does all these things? Well, no. Who does? Well, the people you see that are running highly successful, profitable businesses, they highly value all of these things. So they're motivated to create them. Okay, so people have different values in different contexts of their lives. So some people might be doing really well in business, but not so good in their relationships, or they're doing really well in health, but not so good in their relationships, or whatever it might be. Different areas. You've got more than 3 areas of life. I've just used these 3 common ones, right? So the thing that sits underneath the decision to do or not do the things that are going to be a benefit to us or even a detriment to us, okay? Because some people are motivated to do things that are a detriment to them, okay? And we know that there's behaviors that people have that don't benefit them, but there's a motivation there. They keep doing them. And all of this motivation, whether it's doing the things that you know that you are going to get the results you want, or whether you're not doing the things, it all comes down to our values. The values, our individual values, are where our motivation lies. And so across this episode and the next, I'm going to be talking about values from 2 different perspectives. And like I said, when I teach NLP Master Practitioner, it takes 2 full days, right, to teach this content. So, of course, this is going to be a chunked up version, right? This isn't going to be the whole story shebang about values. There's a whole lot more to it. But I'm going to give you a version where you're at least going to understand what values are and how they affect our behavior. So this episode, I'm going to be talking about, values levels of thinking based on the work of Dr. Claire Graves. And, like I said, he was inspired by the work of Abraham Maslow and the hierarchy of human needs, but he went a bit further and looked at, okay, what's the effect the immediate environment has on a person's thinking and behavior and essentially their motivation. And so this is what we're going to be talking about. This is looking at values levels, thinking from a person's, what's required by the person's environment. What environment are they in will determine their values levels of thinking. And it's important for us to understand this both for ourselves, for our own motivation and behaviors, but also when we're working with clients so that we can help them from the level of thinking that they are at, okay? Because that's how we're going to have the most effective results. Hey there, fabulous listeners of the Coaching Circle. It's Toni Everard, your go-to NLP Master Trainer and Business Mindset Coach. Elevate yourself to new heights by joining the Coaching Circle Insiders, a premium subscription membership tailored for coaches and wellbeing practitioners at an incredibly affordable price. Inside, gain exclusive access to a supportive community, valuable resources, and expert guidance on mastering your coaching, communication, and business mindset skills. Let's get close and personal with weekly training and live Q&A to get all your questions answered. Sign up now by clicking the link in the show notes, and I'll see you on the inside. Okay, so as we go into this, I'm going to be talking about values levels as labeled values 1 to values 7. This is where I'm going to go through in fairly short form. But it's important to know that no one is a certain values level, right? This system isn't for labeling people, as no one is one specific values level. And people can have access to the characteristics of several different values levels at any given time. And it's not a hierarchy of who's better or worse. It comes down to what environment are you in and what is the thinking that's most effective for you to survive, essentially, in the environment that you're in. Now, people can also change the values levels thinking that they think from in different contexts, okay? So they might have different values levels thinking for at home with their extended family to where they are at work, right? They can have different values levels of thinking when they're under stress, okay? or in, stress could be because there's different situations happening, or because they're in a different environment that causes stress. Okay. And when I talk about stress, we think about your neurology. Your neurology responds to stress all the time. Okay. And the values levels of thinking will develop according to the stresses of your environment. Okay. So that you have the best neurology to suit that environment. Okay. What do you need for that environment? So as I said, we're going to go through from values 1 to 7 in fairly short form, but just to give you a bit of an overview of what is all of this values level stuff about. All right, so we're going to start at values level 1. And values level 1 is really about survival. You won't see much of this in general population. Okay, there's not much of this that exists in the world today. It's very primitive. It's instinctual. It has very low social requirement, and it's more based on physical safety, food, and reproducing. All right, so maybe there might be people living on the street that can exhibit some of these characteristics, or maybe there might be some people in the deep Amazon forest jungle somewhere, but generally we wouldn't see it. It's very instinctual. It's very just survival based. All right, but then the next value level we start to see more of, and this is values level 2. And values level 2 thinking is where tribes are formed. Okay, so where tribes are formed. It's the next level up where values level 1 becomes aware that they can be more successful at surviving if they band together with others. Okay, so in this tribe, in this clan or tribe, there is a chief or there's a leader, and in some form that the tribe answers to. This is also the tribal level. This values level 2 is also where like lucky charms and mystical powers are revered. Okay, so if you've ever had a lucky charm, that is values level 2 thinking. If you've ever given your car a name, right, that's values level 2 thinking. All right. In modern day, we can see this replicated as families who are ruled by a patriarch or a matriarch that everyone answers to and seeks advice from. Okay, you can see this happening throughout the world, right, in today's environment. But then at some point in time, the values level 2 thinking, a person gets a bit jack of answering to the chief and the tribe and wants to make their own rules. And this is where values level 3 thinking emerges. Okay, so they become more egocentric, and although they can be quite high energy and charismatic and charming and loyal, they are also the rule breakers. Okay, these are the bad boys. Can be bad girls as well, right? They'll happily use physical violence to exert their might, and they'll have a great fear of being controlled by anyone. Right? They love fame, and they don't mind if that fame is from being infamous. Right? They're a law unto themselves. Commonly, these people can end up in jail, fined, or at odds with others due to their behavior and lack of empathy. Okay, these people have a lot of rage and shame and can be real hotheads with no qualms about lashing out, and they don't feel guilty for their actions either. So you can think about this as, like young people. So if you look at 2-3-year-olds, I remember listening to Jordan Peterson say that some of the most violent members of our society are the 2-3-year-olds, right? The terrible twos. They're just all about what's in it for them. And, they'll hit and they'll bite and they'll do whatever. Like, they don't care. We can also think about it as the rebellious teenagers, right? They might lie, cheat, steal, be hard to get along with, get themselves in trouble. Okay, it's just a developmental period usually, but sometimes it does extend into adulthood for some people. And the thing is, there's usually a limit of how long values level 3 can get away with being the lone cowboy, the rule breaker. And at some point, they'll either realize that they're not, in actual fact, bulletproof, And that's because they might have been locked up a few too many times. They might have spent a whole lot of their life paying fines. And they also might get beat up or have some near death experience where they suddenly realize that there's younger, stronger, or crazier opponents out there. Or they might just be plain lonely, having lost all their friends, their family, their relationships. Okay, so they get to a point where they just realize, okay, I can't, I'm not the biggest, baddest person out there. I'm not bulletproof. I can't get away with stuff. I'm getting caught out. And, you know, they'll decide that there's more to life. Now, if you're working with these type of people, you need to have very clear, firm boundaries. Okay, you have to have very clear, firm boundaries, and you've got to hold your ground and don't let them away, because if they think they can get away with it once, they'll go again and go again. Okay, so you've got to give instant feedback. You've got to avoid focusing too far into the future, as you'll just lose their attention. Okay, they're very instant gratification type people. Okay, but at some point in time, they'll usually decide that there's got to be more to life. There's got to be something bigger than them. And this is where they can evolve into the values level 4 thinking. And this is the neurology of rules and order. And there's a right or wrong way of thinking. And this is where we see prisoners turn to religion. Okay, so religion is values level 4. It's the good book. Universities and other organizations where there are specific systems and uniforms and sameness and, you know, replicable processes. This is where most people are in a job. Okay, there's a lot of certainty in values level 4 thinking. You know, I know if I rock up at 9 o'clock, stay till 5 o'clock, do that Monday to Friday, and I do these set tasks, I'll get this amount of money, I'll have weekends off, I'll get 4 weeks annual leave every year, and everyone gets the same, and we all know where we stand. Right? It's sacrifice now for later. Okay? It's people who stay in a job doing the same thing over and over again for like 50 years just to get a gold watch at the end of it. Right? These people value degrees and certificates to prove that they are of a certain standing. Okay, so if we're working with people with this type of thinking, you'll need to show that you do things the right way, and that you have the right qualifications, and that you don't break the rules. Okay, that's what they want to see. Now, eventually, how values 4 transitions to values level 5 thinking is that they get sick of doing things by the book and sacrificing now for later and all that kind of stuff. And they can see that there's ways that they can actually get more of what they want sooner. Okay, they embrace uncertainty. They start taking risks. They'll get involved in sales and marketing, right? Profitability, understanding themselves so that they can be better. They start businesses and they look for win-win solutions. Right? They'll be like, I'll help you get more of what you want so that I can get more of what I want. And this is also where we see materialism come in, things like plastic surgery, status, all the fancy cars, the brand names. Okay, because it's all I want to have the stuff now. I want to enjoy the things now. I can make more money, more success, more achievements. I can be more, I can be greater. And shifting from values level 4 to values level 5 is usually one of the biggest challenges for people starting a business. Well, definitely the people that I work with as well. Okay, because this is where a lot of people have come out of a job, and I know this because I was there, right? I remember I worked in a bank for a lot of years, like 10 years. I left my work at the bank because I had sales targets and I hated it. I hated it. Values level 4 doesn't like sales. They don't like marketing and promoting themselves. It feels icky, right, to them. They don't like necessarily being in the spotlight. They want to blend in. That kind of thinking doesn't work for you if you want to succeed in business, right? This is a big thing. It's a big thing. I'm sure this is why so many businesses fail in the first, 12 months to 2 years. right? Even up to 5 years, because you've got to develop the neurology for business. You can't just be like, oh, I'm really good at coaching or training or whatever it is that you practice. You've got to be good at business if you want to be in business, right? So you've got to develop that neurology. So if you're working with people in a values level 5 neurology, then you've got to know that, well, they've got to know that what you'll help them with will help them be better so that they can achieve more, right? And ideally, it increases their status as well. Right? And then there's values level 6 starts to emerge. And values level 5, after chasing the dollar and constantly searching for more, person can get tired of that game and decide that there's got to be more to life. Right? And this is when the values level 6 thinking emerges, and people want to belong to communities. They might become healers, talk about spirituality. They want to save the planet, and they would rather meditate all day, right? Than work on their business, and they can get very involved in causes to save the world, and all of its creatures, the whales, dolphins, and save them from pollution and landfill and extinction and cruelty. And they want everyone to be equal. Wouldn't it be great if we lived in this society where everyone was equal and no one had more than anyone else and everyone was the same, right? This is values level 6 thinking. And often their businesses don't do very well, okay, because they find some spiritual high ground that says money isn't all there is to life, right? And they want to solve the world's problems with love and hugs. And as such, they can also get taken advantage of by values level 3, absolutely, and values level 5. The 3-6 relationship is one where the values level 3 person, continuously hurts or abuses the values level 6's trust and boundaries. But the 6 just keeps forgiving them and thinks, if I just give them enough love and hugs, that, they'll come good. Only to see that same behavior repeating again, because that's not how the values 3 changes, right? They think, oh, I've got away with it again. Okay, and they go through that way, right? So values level 6 people, the thing with values level 6 people though as well is that they don't tend to get results in anything much. Okay, they have lots of meetings, but it doesn't really go anywhere. They're not really action takers. And if you're working with these people, they'll want to know that you care about the environment and humanity, and that you care to be part of a community of like-minded people. Okay, they'll be turned off by flashiness or ideas that don't support their own spiritual beliefs. Now, eventually, the transition from values level 6 to 7 happens when they get a bit tired of not really achieving anything, right? So then 6, through doing the work to release their fears, so the fears of all the previous values levels of thinking, so fears of not having enough money or being controlled, or fears of getting caught out for not doing the right thing, fear of being lacking status or not belonging to the group, and they release all these fears, okay, through a lot of work on themselves, and then they can move into a more independent space with more complex thinking and problem solving skills. And they align systems and they recognize patterns, and they're happy for the best person to do the job as long as it's more efficient. Okay, they're just into results. And look, there are values levels that go on from this point, but they're not commonly found amongst the general population or the people that you're likely to have as your clients, right? But most commonly in general society, you will encounter people who are thinking from values level 3, values level 4, values level 5. All right, values level 5 are likely to be in business or sales. Values level 6 will be congregating in their own communities and movements. And without self-awareness and personal development, it's common to see people take on the facade of a higher values level of thinking, right? But it won't hold because the neurology doesn't support it. So a values level 3 person can be in business, but the values level 3 neurology might translate into that they're just going to kill the opposition, right? They're just going to kill the competition. They will force people into sales so they won't get repeat business. They'll likely get themselves in trouble breaking laws and, not paying taxes and that kind of stuff. Or they might have a business that's invisible to the law, that's completely outside of the law, right? And so, you'll see that kind of happening. But again, it's unlikely to succeed long term. And you'll also find a lot of values level 4 thinking wants to skip values level 5. Right? So as much as 3 wants to skip values level 4, 3 doesn't want to do all the rules and stuff, right? Just wants to go straight to values level 5. 4 doesn't want to do values level 5. It wants to skip straight to values level 6. So you might find people who are values level 4, they're all very spiritual and have their crystals and, everything else, and their vegan lunches while they're sitting at their corporate desk job. Okay, because they're wanting to skip the 5. They're just going, yeah, I want to be really spiritual and everything, but they're not fully developing the neurology through that space. And so this is fascinating. It's so fascinating when you understand this and you can get a better understanding of people's behavior, right? People's behavior and their outcomes and just how they think, right? So the first place to start with your awareness of values levels thinking is to be aware of your own values levels of thinking, right? So there is a test that I take clients through so that you can identify what values levels thinking they are thinking from currently. That one of the most common issues I work with coaches and practitioners and therapists, and I spoke a little bit about this before, was that transition from values level 4 to 5. Okay, so that's where you've been in a job and, you've been in a job for maybe a long time and you've got this idea that you could do more, right? That you could do more. You love the idea of being able to have your own business and being in control of your time and who you work with and doing things that are truly, close to your heart, right? Things that you value, feeling like you make a difference in the world. Okay. And you might want to help people. You might be wanting to get into healing and those kinds of things. But the thing is, you have to go through values level 5 and adopt the neurology or develop the neurology of sales and marketing and promoting yourself or your ideas essentially in a way that you can make money. Okay, because this is the thing, right? That value 6, although it wants to be spiritual and heal the world and everything else, we live in a physical reality, right? We live in a physical reality where we use money. We use money to make a difference in the world. And so in mastering money, you have a much, much better ability, much better grounding to be able to make a difference in the world that you want to make, right? So then it's important that you need to change your environment. So you need to get around other business owners. You need to be learning about sales and marketing. You need to be finding a way that you can think about business that aligns with what you believe in. Okay, so you have to be able to get rid of any of your old limiting beliefs and stuff that you have around, money or sales and marketing or business or anything else, right? It's really, really important stuff. And so you can do that, like I said, by being in that environment and learning those things and, working with a coach, right? This is the quickest ways that you can develop the neurology for the next level of thinking, okay? And again, it's not that any of these values levels of thinking are better than the other. It all depends on the environment that you're in, the environment that you want to be in. Okay, what do you want to be able to do? How do you want to be able to operate in the world? And, environment is related to that. Okay, so if you're someone who's living in a environment where there's a lot of violence and, a lot of crime and violence and that kind of stuff, you want to have some values level 3 neurology at your disposal for your survival, right? Because if you go out in an environment where there's a lot of crime and violence and stuff, and you start waving around your crystals, right, you're still going to get beat up. So, really thinking about what is the appropriate neurology for the environment that you're in. Now, chances are, if you're coaching, it's unlikely you're going to be coaching people that are full on values level 3, right? Because values level 3 people won't be trying to improve themselves. They already think they're amazing, right? And they think that they can just do whatever they want when they want. But there can be some characteristics of that, right? There can be some leftover characteristics of that. So recognizing this is a very, very powerful way of how you can help people move forward. And even if you're able to not just recognize it, but help them recognize where their thinking comes from, you can help people move forward. Okay, now I work with, like I said, a lot of women who are doing that 4-5 shift. Also women who are in the 6, right? They're in the 6 and then, troubles with money in their business. And you need to know what direction are you coaching that person, because you don't want them to regress in their thinking. You want them to advance. I also work with a lot of guys who have got misspent youths, right? They've got some misspent youths, and they might be in business and doing really well in a lot of ways, but they've still got some of their old stuff from the past, which needs clearing up. Okay, and sometimes that can be some values level 3 stuff, right? Sometimes they need help developing and completing their values level 4 neurology, so that they can fully do values level 5 and then move into more values level 6 and 7, where they are then, having businesses that do good things in the world. Right. So thinking about where are your clients thinking at? Where are the people in your family? Where are they thinking at? Okay, you might have older generations of people in your family who are, doing values level 2, values level 2, values level 3, values level 4. Okay, this is something I see a lot. People go into business, but nobody else in their family has the neurology for business. So then what? Well, then you've got to find other people to support you in business. And it's not that your family can't support you, but they don't have the neurology for it. They don't understand. So you need to be around people who do understand. Okay, so I'd love to know, send me an email or leave a comment. What was your biggest aha moment about values levels of thinking? I could go on and talk about this for, 2 days, as I do when I teach it. But hopefully this has given you some insight, and I'd love to know. Send me an email, drop a comment, let me know what was your biggest aha from this, thinking about values level. You might want to go back and listen to it again. But this is the interesting thing. Like next week, next episode, part 2 of this, I'm going to talk about individual values and how we can discover what a person is motivated towards and what they are motivated away from, what they're trying to avoid, and why this impacts their outcomes as well.